Welcome to my dear students. Today we are going to read the story The Selfish Giant. This is a story included in the new course of grade 11. The Selfish Giant, you can see in the a picture of a giant here. This story, The Selfish Giant, is a short story written by Irish poet, novelist, and short story writer Oscar Wilde. You can see the picture of this handsome man. He is the writer of this story. This story, The Selfish Giant, is the children's story. It was first published in the anthology The Happy Prince and Other Tales in 1888 AD. This story is about a selfish giant who learned an important lesson about love and sharing and holds different meanings for people of different ages. As per the label, we can analyze the story differently. The small children of class 2 also can read and enjoy the story. Similarly, you students of grade 11 can read and learn different lessons. You can analyze the story differently. Similarly, the students of university level also can analyze the story differently. Now we go through the plot of the story, The Selfish Giant. Let's start. I'll tell the story in summarized form. I hope it will be very helpful for you to learn the story and to understand it and analyze in the days to come, as well as you can answer the given questions after reading the story very well. Let's go through it. Once there was a giant who was very selfish. He was very tall and ugly. He used to live in a castle with a beautiful garden. In his garden there were flowering plants, grasses, and 12 peach trees. The beautiful flowers used to make the garden attractive, especially in the spring, and the peach trees used to bear fruits in autumn. The birds used to sit and sing melodious song in the garden, which made the garden more beautiful. Every afternoon, the children used to play in the garden of the giant when they came back from school. There was no one to disturb the children, so they used to enjoy a lot playing in the garden. The giant had gone to his friend's home for visiting 7 years ago. One day, the giant came back to his castle and found many children playing in his garden. That made him very angry. He shouted upon the innocent children and chased them away. The children became very sad because there was no any other alternative place for them to play. The children could not play in the on the road because the road was dusty and there was there were very hard stones. They desired to play in the giant's garden, but they were not allowed to enter there. The giant built a high wall around the garden and put a notice in it. The notice wrote that trespassers will be prosecuted. It means that those people who enter into the garden without permission, or all the strangers who enter into the garden, will be punished. This made the children very sad. The children stopped going to the garden because they were not allowed there. When the spring season came, There were blossoms of flowers and birds. Birds and the birds started singing beautiful songs in other gardens and other places. But the garden of the selfish giant remained frozen. No flowers blossomed there, and no any birds came to sit and sing in the garden of the selfish giant. The giant was so sad to see such condition of the garden. He was getting sad and he could not find out the reason why there was no spring in his garden. One morning, the giant heard a sweet music in his garden from his bed. Then he saw outside through the window and found a little bird singing outside in the garden. He smelled the flowering plants through the windows. Then the giant became happy and rushed towards the garden, thinking that the spring has come there in the garden. When he reached in his garden, he found a wonderful sight. He found a wonderful sight in the garden. He saw that the children had entered into his garden through a small hole in the wall which he has constructed there around the garden. The children were sitting in the branches of the trees. The spring had come there in his garden. The birds were singing sweetly. This made the giant feel very happy. In one of the corner of the garden, the giant saw that there was still winter. There was still winter. There was no blossoms, and the giant went near the corner. When he went there, he saw a small boy who couldn't climb up the tree. The boy was trying to catch up the branches of the trees, but he could not. This scene melted the heart of the giant, and he helped the boy to climb up the trees. When the boy climbed the trees, then the spring came in that corner as well. The boy became very happy. The giant carried the boy and helped him to climb up the trees. Then the selfish giant realized that how selfish he was. He also knew the reason why the spring hadn't come to his garden. He felt that the children were the real flowers of the garden. The children were the real flowers of the garden because when the children came in his garden, the spring came there. After that, the giant allowed the children to play in his garden, and the children also enjoyed their allowance. From the next day, the giant came to the garden, but he could not see the little boy whom he had helped to climb up the tree. He asked the other children as well about the little boy, but they did not answer about it. Other children replied that they did not know about the little boy. After a few years, he saw a wonderful sight in one of the corner of his garden again. Though it was winter season, he saw white flowers, golden branches, and silver fruits of the trees in one of the gardens. So this made the giant very surprised. Then he went to the garden, and the giant became quite happy, and he went to see the little child whom he had helped once to climb up the tree. The giant was happy at this time, in this time, because he had seen the little child after many, many years. When the giant reached the little child, he became very angry to see the prints of nail in the boy's palms and legs. The giant asked the boy who had done it. The child answered with the beautiful smile that they were the wounds of love. They were the symbols of love. The giant realized the divine power of the boy at that time. Then the little boy told the giant that once he had allowed the boy to play in his garden, so now the little boy wanted to take the giant to his divine garden for forever. His divine garden was the paradise. Then the giant died, and his dead body was covered with the white flowers. And the next afternoon, when the children came to the garden of the giants to play, they found the body of the giant lying dead under a tree, all covered with the white flowers. This is how the story ends. Dear students, after reading the story, we got a lesson that we should not be so much selfish. We can learn the lesson from the giant that the giant was so selfish. He didn't allow the children to play in his garden so that there was no spring in his garden. But again, when the giant was getting old, his mind changed. He allowed the children to play there. Then again, when the children came to his garden, again the spring started there. It means that we should not be selfish. Instead of getting selfish, we should help and love others. If we help others, we also can get help from others. If you love others, you get love from others. So that if you want to get help and love from others, you should be very helpful and you should be very loving to the others so that you can be a good person. This is the main teaching of the story. From the story, we can also learn that when we do good jobs, that is rewarded. And if we do the bad job, that is punishable. As we link with the story that in the beginning, when the giant saw the children playing in the garden, he became very angry, he became selfish, and he chased away the children. When he chased away the children, then the spring didn't come in his garden. It was completely isolated garden. It was a punishment to the giant by the god. But later on, when he allowed the little boy to climb up the trees, he allowed the children to play in the garden. Then finally, after the death, the giant was taken to the paradise by the god. The little boy was the representative of the god. He himself was present there to take the giant in the paradise because of his good deeds. That's why, dear students, we always try to do good job in our life. You must know that good jobs are rewarded, rewarded, and the bad deeds are punished. you must learn from the story. Dear students, I hope you learned the story well. If you had any problem, confusion, you can write in the comment and I'll try to answer it. I request all of you to subscribe the channel so that you can get the other chapters of grade 11 here as well. It would be very helpful for you to learn from this YouTube channel. Thank you very much. We'll see you in another story and another chapter. Thank you very much.